good afternoon, and welcome once again to your favorite place. And I'm imposing that on you, your favorite place. This is Crossroads, Navigating Business Challenges. And I'm your host, as you can see, David Etienne, and it's a wonderful privilege to be with you again on another episode of Crossroads. You may not see it from my expression, but as usual, at this time, I'm very excited. Why? We usually, and we're accustomed to engage with professionals, with individuals who bring a wealth of information to this program. And this afternoon, we have a very special guest. And what I find very interesting about this person is that she's referred to as a business advocate. Business advocate. My interpretation of a business advocate is an individual who comprehensively addresses business needs, comprehensively address. And when I had an opportunity to look at the information to do with my guest this evening, I'm saying, where do I begin? What should I extract? What can I afford not to mention? And so I am fortunate enough to have guests who there's so much to speak about that I may just have to have a second and maybe even a third episode featuring that particular guest. So for this afternoon, we have Miss Debbie Merrick. Miss Debbie Merrick with us. Debbie, how are you doing today?
Great. Thank you, David. I'm so excited to be here.
Great. The excitement is mine because we're looking forward to having a very in-depth chat with you. Of course, I had the opportunity to look at information that I received. And as I was saying to my listeners, as I go through, and I consider myself a lucky guy, because what I find is that the guests that I have, they are so wide and broad in the knowledge base that I usually have to say, okay, what do I speak on? And at the same time, trying to capture just about everything. So here we go. I'm looking at your resume here, well, not really a resume, your bio, and I'm looking to see exactly how it's structured. Now, Debbie, before I get into any of that detailed, what I call juicy stuff that entrepreneurs are looking to learn about, tell me about Debbie, the person. Tell me about Debbie. Tell us about Debbie.
Well, I would say, first off, I am just a amazing just follower of God, and my faith is huge. And so I start every day in Proverbs, and I just have that as my foundation, is my faith. And that is just what guides me through, all the good times and the bad times. And because, I've been out here in Arizona since 1987, came here from Wisconsin, grew up in southern Wisconsin. And, to me, it's just, every season of my life, it's like the older I get, I realize that my faith is definitely the thing that is at the foundation of like who I am, and just being able to now at this stage of my life really be able to help other people in different capacities, whether it's personal, whether it's business. And my husband and I have been together for 24 years, and he is my partner in crime. And it just could not do anything that I'm doing without him. So.
Great. A matter of fact, that resounds a lot with me, because I usually say to my colleagues and associates that it is easy for me to identify where an individual is coming sheerly from a business perspective as opposed to a genuine concern. On Crossroads and in my broader consulting work, we really focus on what I like to call empowerment. Mm-hmm. See that coming out of what I'm reading about, empowerment. And for us, yes, we operate in a business, but we have seen where small and medium-sized businesses, what is lacking in most instances is not necessarily the lack of the ability or the capacity to, but the absence of an empowerment through information, through education, through guidance. And so that is what one of our main focus, and therefore we try to align ourselves with individuals like yourself who have that, and I can see where that is going. Now I see where among a number of things, you specialize in sales, in marketing, and in business growth strategies. Okay. Yes, as you said, you have been in business for almost 20 years, etc. When I look through it, I can see your journey has straddled quite a wide spectrum of industries and actual activities. Tell us a bit about, well, before I go there, were you, prior to being an entrepreneur doing your own thing, were you, as we like to say, engaged with corporate America?
Actually, I was in small business America mainly, and I was, for the most part, full commission. So I only had really one main salary position when I first came to Phoenix from Tucson in that 96, 97 years. And to be honest with you, even when I was working for someone else, and it was for an HR consulting firm, I worked as the assistant of the president and the marketing manager. And it was a smaller firm. I mean, there's probably about 15, 20 people, but I did the work of like 3 people. And actually, when I left that company to go pursue furniture, I was replaced by 3 people. So to me, even if you're working inside of a company, a lot of us still have that ownership mentality to where, if we are getting a paycheck, a lot of times we're just doing what we think, if we own this business, what would we be doing?
Great. A number of my clients, in talking with them, I've said, David, I don't know why I took so long to leave corporate and do my own thing. You see, and I can imagine maybe it is just being hesitant, being uncertain about what it was. But a number of individuals have expressed that, okay, having spent 10, 15, 20 years in corporate, I should have left this a long time ago. Because as you're right to say, yes, you work, but there's the absence of ownership when you're working there. It's good.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at 2 components of your portfolio: business development and wealth management. When it comes to small businesses, small and medium-sized businesses, I like to use the term, we run businesses. Loosely speaking, we run businesses. But when it comes to the heart of business development and ultimately wealth creation, what I do find is that small, medium-sized business operators tend to be lacking in those areas for 2 primary reasons: lack of information, lack of access. Information and access. I realize that you focus a lot on helping with business development and wealth creation and management. Talk to us about those 2 components.
Well, I mean, for people just knowing who I am, I actually ran and built a furniture and home and gift boutique here in Scottsdale. And so I learned firsthand, after being an employee, the challenges of not only being in the sales, part, because I, was commission sales, and, I kind of felt like I had a business within the business, but at the same time, I didn't truly appreciate what the owner had to do on a daily to keep the operations and the costs down, and just make sure that we weren't spending, money that we didn't have and, things like that. So what I find is that because I came from building my own bricks and mortar and having the challenges of that daily cash flow, I did not realize how important it is to have those experts like yourself, in the tax world, or financial advisors, or, access to capital or investors, which I've had both in my companies that I've had. And so to me, it's just not spending the time to get that information can be the detriment to a company. Because if, some people are like, oh, I'm too busy. I'm working with clients. I'm doing all this stuff. It's like, well, yeah, but like, you also have to think about like, that either expansion or leverage, like who are you like collaborating with? How are you expanding your business without it costing you any more money? In my case, because I was in retail, I had the capacity to do consignment. So I had an element in my store to where I had fine art. I had, artisans that I worked with. And so a lot of times, if you can look at your business and you can say, what are other people in the same industry that I'm working with to where I could look bigger, than I am, or I feel like, oh, I have now this division within my company because I'm now offering something else. So those are some of the things that you can do as a solopreneur, or maybe you only have one or two one or two employees, or, something like that. So there are always ways, and that's where the creativity in business, I feel like, but you have to, have that mindset, because some people, they're just like, oh, I just do this and that's all I do. And it's like, well, we're not, we're multidimensional, people, we can do different things. And a lot of times that's huge, even on the networking side of things.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. We focus a lot on this program on the challenges of business and how we navigate those challenges. And I particularly opted to use the word navigate because you and I will agree that there's no magic formula that will give you a smooth, straight path. It's always going to take meandering. For us, you and I, Debbie, to impart those skill sets to our clientele, we first have to develop them for ourselves. And I'm not speaking here about structured education or what. No. We're talking about developing that acumen for ourselves, where we're able to navigate these challenges, to put ourselves in a position to offer ourselves to others. I want to focus on Debbie's challenges and how Debbie went about navigating and creating herself to the point where you're already know to offer to others.
Well, I do think that, if people haven't had an adjustment, I would say an adjustment. And for us, it was, 2010, where we had to close the business and the boutique. And, we pretty much lost everything as we were doing that. And we did have another investor, which didn't work out. But I had the acumen of like knowing that, I could leverage some things, I could do some things. But at the same time, we also, both my husband and I, recognized that we didn't really want the lifestyle of that bricks and mortar business, because we could see by being in that environment for 4 years and being almost a ministry. It kind of felt like a ministry in being on that street in Old Town Scottsdale, which is now, it's the arts district. They were trying to make it like a Rodeo Drive kind of thing. And so anyway, we recognized that we wanted to be able to help more people than the people that were just coming in, to shop and to do some things. And so when we, lost everything in 2010, we took, unfortunately it took too long. I mean, that's my lesson learned, is that I did not fall or fail forward very fast. And it took a lot of time to do that. But at the same time, I recognize that, sometimes you have to have those healing, those times, because it was very traumatic, situation that we went through. And so I just look at, the fact that, let's see, the fact that we were, after having that experience, we just got involved with just helping other people. Like, we didn't just isolate ourselves to where it was just like, oh my gosh, like, we can't, do anything for ourselves. So we're not going to go out and like help other people. So, but we decided that we just wanted to continue the entrepreneurial path instead of going and getting corporate jobs, because a lot of times once you've owned your own business, you don't have the opportunity, or you look different on a resume. And not to say that you're almost non-employable, So yeah, it's one of those things where we decided that we're like, we know that we're just supposed to help people. And we started doing consulting, and my husband's had his digital marketing agency since really, 2002. And that's one of the reasons that we actually had the money to invest in the furniture store. But like I said, it's one of those things where I felt like in those challenges, and we actually we got married after we lost everything. So again, that was definitely God, because, it didn't make any sense at the time. And we had been together 11 years, and to be able to persevere through such a life change, and then still come back together and be like, you know what, like, we're in this, we're in this.
Great,
Yeah.
great. Wonderful. One of the challenges that I find that I've experienced with clients, let's call it clients, is that there are times when you see the writing on the wall, so to speak, and as a professional, we are aware of what are the potential solutions. But sometimes we have a challenge, not necessarily communicating it to clients, but a challenge in clients' willingness to accept. And I think one of the reasons behind is that there are a number of tools that our small and medium-sized business operators see as large company tools. You see, they say,
Right.
yes, I understand you, but man, that is more for the large organizations. I'm just running a little operation here. I'm just making $200,000 per year. And so I don't think I need to be considering those things. Not recognizing or failing to recognize that it is very same principle that is adopted by the large corporation, more on a macro scale, but they're applicable to you, the small business operators, the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so that has been my experience in a number of instances. And so I have a challenge helping clients to come to grips with the fact that, no, these are important things to consider. What has been your experience?
Yeah, I really believe, especially in the tax space, that there are a lot of programs that are available that people just don't know, and they don't have the right experts. And that's the thing, is like, to say that one person can do everything for you, I think is a very dangerous strategy for a business owner. And so when we were helping all these businesses during COVID with the employee retention tax credit, I would run into this time and time again. They're like, my CPA doesn't tell, they told me I shouldn't do this. And I said, well, okay, well, how many files have they actually submitted on behalf of their clients? And most of the time, the people would come back and say, well, they're not working on this program. And I'm like, well, that's kind of strange. It's like, why would you give somebody authority in a part of your business that they don't know anything about? And that's coming from me, like somebody who, I mean, I'm not a financial person. I'm not a CPA person. I'm just an entrepreneur that has done a lot of different, things to be successful. And I've learned from the people around me because I've gotten myself out of the way and said, hey, I need to look into this. I need more information. In some cases, it's like, well, it doesn't cost you anything to at least have a conversation versus, oh, you're just going to shut the door, and just be not open to it, because of the way that a lot of these people are told. Like they think like, oh, well, because my CPA doesn't work in this area, then, well, I'm not gonna do that. And it's like, well, why couldn't you work with both people and get the maximum? Because I don't know, there's over like 1,000 parts of the tax code or something. It's crazy, right? It's totally crazy. So again, I've just been, like a messenger. Like when you talk about the advocate, it's like, hey, I have the ability to talk to people as a fellow entrepreneur, but I'm also like the kind of person that, hey, it's like we have these relationships with our, consultancy where it's like, hey, if it makes sense for your business, like, why not, like at least have a conversation, it's like, because you might be missing something that could bring an extra 5,000, 10,000, 50,000, 500,000 into your business. And, it takes nothing to have a conversation.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, we have today with us on Crossroads, Miss Debbie Merrick, and we're discussing what we call business advocacy in all its forms, in all its shape. And later on, of course, we will certainly, because at the end of this program, I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that you will want to have one-to-one with Debbie. You will want to speak further because you're going to hear things that you say, wow, I need to get more information on this. And so at the end of the program, we'll be having information on screen, and we know that you'll be in touch with Debbie. Tell me something, Debbie, and I've been very curious about this aspect of I see where you engage a lot in public speaking. Let's just call it that, public speaking. Okay. And so when I think of public speaking, yes, my favorite term, empowerment, going to the people, speaking, enlightening individuals, okay, information dissemination, that's right. And so in that vein, you have a podcast similar to our podcast here. Your podcast is Business Connectors.
Correct.
Business Connectors. Yes. And even earlier on, as you mentioned about, hey, we can't be everything to all persons. Correct. So there has to be linkages that we and relationships. And so I'm seeing your podcast called Business Connectors. Tell me something about Business Connectors.
So basically what happened with that is that because the program that we were representing the last few years took a hiatus in September of last year, I knew that, I could have taken, a year or two off and I didn't really need to do anything, but I had the opportunity to go on another radio show podcast called SOS Los Angeles. And it was actually one of our clients that she owns a pub restaurant in Van Nuys outside of Los Angeles. And she was doing, her own advocacy for her neighborhoods, the safety, the, keeping the costs down, for the taxes, the insurance, all of these things have gone like through the roof in California. And so when I was on her show, after that, I talked to her producer and who ended up being one of our hosts. And I just, felt like I want to do something more. I want to, even if I just reach one other business owner, because obviously I was in Arizona, this was in California, and I just felt like, I wanted to stretch myself and, do something outside of my own comfort zone. And so we ran the show for about 10 weeks. And we've made, we're pivoting a little bit because it was on KBC.com or, 790 AM, talk radio. And so, so it's just, and the gentleman that I was working with, it's just, a lot of times you don't get it right like the first time. That's another lesson. And yet I'm so grateful to him because I have worked with some influencers. I've worked, and it's been a very like easy, it works, and he even said, he goes, radio is a lot, it's a lot like the TV stuff. It's like, sometimes you don't get the right combination, of things. And, I didn't have any like hard feelings about it, but it just really increased my confidence, going on camera and just being able to have real conversations with people and bringing on experts, like yourself, to be able to impart, strategies and different, and give people hope, because it was on a Sunday morning.
So, okay.
Yeah. So it just, it was such a blessing. And now, like I said, I've got some other people working with us, and we're going to be expanding the podcast and doing it more just on the platforms versus the radio, because I actually have worked pretty much nationally, but I had a heart, to do this for a short time for Los Angeles and California. So
great. At the community level, quite often we see initiatives that are primarily or initially funded by, let us say, public funds to begin. Public funds, okay? A number of them are geared towards ramping up small business activities. Those are limited resources, limited funds, and they usually have a duration, and it is hoped that within that time frame, individuals will get up to speed and move forward on their own steam. Mm-hmm. Quite often, it does not actually happen like that. So we have these initiatives that rise up this year, and everybody is crazy and excited, and that's it. What about it? It's gone. And we have, it's like a revolving door, so to speak, of these initiatives, all in the spirit of helping small businesses to grow. What are some of the challenges and maybe potential solutions you see that could be contemplated in finding a way to have ongoing support? And this support may be in infrastructure, financial, education, by the public, I should say funded by the public sector, yes, government, state, city levels, to ensure or to enhance the sustainability of these initiatives. You see, so you and I are working from the business side of it, but there's the need for that support system. How do you see that happening, and what is that we can do about it?
Well, I've seen, just in the last couple months, I've actually seen some other networks, of networking groups actually, that are becoming more grassroots, because I know that, you probably know in where you live, the BNI, and it's a huge, networking organization. Like, I think it's it's international. It's, but a lot of these companies, the way that they've structured the companies for the communities, it's not where the communities can benefit from the actual organization themselves, but the organization wants them to recruit, wants them to do, different types of activities that makes the parent company the money. And so what I'm seeing, and I think this is happening on a lot of different, areas, but it just happens that because I love networking and I, do quite a bit of it. I've seen where there's some groups coming up, and I've also been a part of another mastermind group that they do things in the community. They do things, obviously as a business organization where they're, helping to, make what they call golden connections, for your business, things like that. So I feel like, yes, there needs to be more, done within, the communities. But I think that there are some, and I actually have access if people, want to reach out about, getting involved on some more grassroots, for your business and or even the nonprofit, stuff,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, I have to share with you that I'm seeing here what is referred to as a favorite quote. And so let me read it verbatim. Now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. Listening to Debbie, we hear this favorite quote in all that she said. Tell me, Debbie, and maybe I've spoken to it already, how was this being central to Debbie and what Debbie offers to us, the public?
Well, I will tell you, one of the things that, what really resonates on that quote is when I started helping people and businesses September of 2021 because of COVID. Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity to partner with a CPA firm in Los Angeles and the marketing firm. And I started just asking, I just started digging, who can I help? Who is qualified for this, COVID relief funds? And I'm not kidding you. It took about 7 months to get our first paycheck. And you want to talk about having the faith of seeing something that is not there. At about the 4th month, I remember it. I was actually at a networking event in the morning with my girlfriend, and I literally about fell on the floor. I was so exhausted. I was so just depleted that I was just asking God, I'm really, God, is this what you want for me? Is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Because it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel good. And that's the other part about business. And I think some people, they want things to happen instant, because now everything's Instagram Reels, 90 seconds, all this stuff. And things take time, and now, yes, things are happening faster for us, but it's only because we've put in the time.
Right. Put in the work, persevere.
It's we're getting other opportunities to help people with, the tax strategies, the special funding that's available. Different, just, there's a lot of things that people can do to grow their business. But when people, they think I'm lucky. I'm I am not lucky. I am just somebody who just rolled up their sleeves and went to work.
Right. Right, right, right. Now, on a journey, sometimes you reach to that point where you say, okay, how much longer? And on the other hand, but do I dare stop now?
Right.
I've been gone so long, you know what I'm saying?
I know.
Am I a couple of steps away from my destination? You
Yeah.
see, and that is a gray area for a lot when it comes to business,
Yeah.
you know. That is the gray area. Okay, my overhead light is
Oh
gone.
no.
I
You
can't
got
see
some
the
mood
sea.
lighting. Mood
Blue
lighting.
lighting. Okay. Soft and warm. Soft and warm. As a matter of fact, very ironic or very interesting. Because what I'm coming to here now needs that sort of soft light. Yep, here I go.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
having looked at all the information, I thought, okay, I think I know Debbie pretty well. And then you just throw me a curveball out of nowhere. She was into home and gift boutique and interior designing. And I'm saying,
Mhm.
okay, then how did we reach here? You know,
Right. I know.
perfect
It's,
homester, homemaker, so far removed from the hustle and bustle of getting business moving. So I realized that, okay, and then I see where picking bunches of flowers and taking them to a friend is what some of your favorite pastime. I find that very,
love
very, very
flower
interesting.
arranging. Yes.
It's
I'm
very
just
interesting.
obsessed.
All
Yeah.
right, great. Now, as I indicated earlier on to my listeners, that there are a lot more that we could speak on this afternoon. We have just scratched the surface of all that Debbie's about. So we mentioned earlier on that there's a podcast. Debbie's always available for speaking engagements, and I know you're gonna need to have your one-to-one with Debbie.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to put on screen all contact information. And Debbie, after we project, if there's anything that you'd like to add, then just go right ahead. But I want my listeners to be aware. So ensure that you get all information on Debbie's website, email address, contact number, because as a business advocate, she is the kind of person that you want in your corner. She is the kind of, and let me even level with you too, my friends and listeners. Even as a CPA, there are so many services that my clients are in need of that I know that I do not have the required level of competence to provide. But it is my duty, because I have a responsibility to my clients, to reach out to where the resources are. And Debbie is one such person. Debbie is one such person. So take the information, ensure to make your contact, and Debbie and I will continue to converse and to interact so that we can have more information, more growth tips for you as we go forward. Debbie, it was such a pleasure, but I know that I've just touched the surface.
Oh my
Is
gosh,
there
this is such a
anything that
pleasure.
you
Oh my
would like
gosh.
to
Yes.
ensure that we do not leave without mentioning that I may have not touched
Really right now, I mean, the biggest thing that we're passionate about right now is there is a lawsuit settlement, class action
on?
settlement that is available to any business that was in business between 2004 and the
Mhm.
end of 2018. If you took credit cards or debit cards during that time, you would remember that there were always different exchange charges
Got you.
on
Yes,
the
yes, yes.
different types of cards. And so the reason that, I just wanted to let
Mhm,
people know
mhm.
about this is that we only have about 40 more days to see if you, as a business owner, even if you had to close the business, it's not running anymore, but as long as you are the main person on the EIN and you remembered your EIN and the name of your company, we have been hired by a law firm that has done, they're in the upwards of, hundreds of millions of dollars in claiming this money as part of the settlement, because it's already been, the lawsuit is done. They
Mhm.
have to actually pay out over $5.5 billion And
Wow.
so we have only been working on this for a very short time, and we are just getting flooded by all different sized businesses. And I tell people, do not discount yourself because you don't know. Like, it's just, I tell people, like, because I think if there's anything that I would like to impart today is that if you are trying to disqualify yourself from something that you don't know about, I would check yourself,
Right.
because that is one of the biggest things that I've seen between the people that
Yes.
thrive and the people that just get by, or they fail, which in the case, of a lot of things that I have done in the past, I've learned a lot by those lessons. But at the same time, I've so learned that if I am at least open to learning about another strategy that
Mhm.
could enhance my business for the next, because in this case, it's done by the end of August, and then they're hopefully paying it out by the end of the year. So here's more money
Mhm.
for 2025.
Right, right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you hear it. And my clients, if you need to reach out to me so I can put you in direct contact with Debbie in the event that you did not get information, pass the information on to your friends, to your business associates. We're all in this spot because we all at some point in
Absolutely.
time would have taken, been going through the credit card process, etc. So ensure to touch base with myself. I'll link you with Debbie or make direct contact with Debbie. What can I say, Debbie? Thank you so
Thank
much. I
you,
really
David.
enjoyed. I really enjoyed talking with you. And
Yeah, we need to have more conversations
no, we
for sure.
need to have more conversation. You see,
Yes.
and to my listeners, don't get jealous now. Yes, Debbie and I will have more of the air conversation, but we will also agree that the juicy stuff that is of use to you, will bring it back to you.
Oh,
We'll bring
yeah.
it back to you
For
as
sure.
a joint ventureship in one way or the other. Okay, so you will not be left out of the loop. Debbie, thank you very much. It was a
Thank you. Appreciate
pleasure,
it.
and we'll be talking. Okay,
Awesome. Appreciate
so, ladies and gentlemen, there you had it. Another episode of Crossroads Navigating Business Challenges, where we share with you information coming from individuals who not only taught the talk, but walked the walk. And how did they come to that place? Because they are not just talking by way of conjecture. They have lived it, they have experienced it. Okay, they have built themselves through the twists and turns of business challenges, and so are equipped to help you on your journey. As Debbie said, do not self eliminate. I like that. Do not self eliminate. Okay, reach out to myself, reach out to Debbie to ensure that you have all that is due to you. So once again, thank you very much for joining me. I'm David Etienne, and of course, I'm coming to you on our Etienne Strategic Management Consulting platform. And this is your place, Crossroads Navigating Business Challenges. So until next time, stay strong, work hard, be faithful to the task, and be empowered. Bye for now.